So here's the thing. I keep getting videos taken down or demonetized for saying words like clitoral empowerment. And well, I can't say the other one or I'll get flagged again. But apparently the internet can't handle my mouth or my trauma. So you know what? I'm kind of done. I'm done playing nice. I'm done watering down my content. So I've created a place where I can say whatever the fuck I want, share what I want. I laugh, ugly cry, talk about sex, addiction, divorce, parenting, being a woman in 2025, dating after divorce, and the time I super queefed in hot yoga. This place is called Patreon. Here's what you get when you join, okay? You get weekly live streams where I emotionally overshare, and hopefully you do too. Also, I'm gonna do weekly Zooms where we can actually talk to each other. Like, I wanna get to know you, where I deeply share and then you deeply share. It's like a grown-up sleepover cult, but supportive. Also, you get full unedited chaos from everything I film before it gets totally sterilized for YouTube. Also, we will real talk about parenting neurodivergent kids, surviving divorce, surviving marriage, surviving abuse, and just the latest of what's actually going on in my life, which I don't always feel comfortable sharing with the entire world. Oh, and if you subscribe annually, I will create a personal sketch just for you, a one-of-a-kind signed by me, mailed to you with your name on it, because making art for the people who support me is my love language. So you could get sketches like this. Can you see that okay? She's not fine. This one says love or ovulation. It's confusing. I just see all you amazing, supportive women in my comments, and I want to take our relationship to the next level. Meeting weekly, getting to know who you are, and me letting you know more deeply who I am. You know, I found that through my divorce, the thing that's helped me the most is going to a support group of women every single week. Like, that's been the magic. That has been it. And just connecting and getting advice from women who have been there, done that, whether it is raising a kid with special needs or going through a divorce or being a woman in 2025. I'm sick of getting flagged, you guys. I'm done being nice. Anyone who subscribes annually will get a personalized sketch signed by me with your name on it. I want sleep. Also, you can join for free. You can try it out. You can lurk. You can stalk me. It's fine. But if you want the good stuff, the stuff that's actually going to add value to your life, hopefully that's what I want. I want a community of women where it's going to add value to your life and mine. Go to patreon.com/Laura Clary. Again, that's patreon.com/Laura Clary. And I really hope to see you there and get to know you there. Let's talk about what RFK Jr. said. So RFK Jr. stood in front of a microphone as a presidential candidate and said that autistic kids will never pay taxes, never work, never go on a date, never write a poem. It's like he was listing symptoms of a broken robot. And look, I've had many people messaging me because I posted about it the other day, saying, you know, hello, he was talking about profound autism. You're missing the point. It's about the 25% who are nonverbal and severely impaired. Okay, so let's talk about it. I'm a mom to a beautiful, newly 6-year-old boy who was diagnosed with severe level 3 autism just before his 2nd birthday. He was totally nonverbal, and some would argue he still is because he's not conversational. He had intense meltdowns and still does sometimes. He couldn't tell me when he was hungry or in pain or what he needed, and sometimes he still struggles to do that. We have worked so hard. He's worked so hard. He's made progress in ways that have blown us away. He can now communicate in his own way, not always fluently, not always clearly, but it's there, the connection, the progress, the spark, the joy, the effort. And still, I don't know if he'll ever live independently. I don't know if he'll ever have a job or, God forbid, pay taxes, because apparently, according to RFK Jr., that's the mark of a functional human. RFK says autistic kids will never pay taxes, like that's the saddest fate imaginable. I mean, honestly, the only autistic person I know who doesn't pay taxes is Elon Musk, and I'm not seeing a ton of outrage about that. But here is the thing. My son may never have a job. He may never drive a car. He may never pay into the system. And that doesn't make him any less of a person. That doesn't make him less valuable. That doesn't make him a burden. His worth is not conditional. It's not pending potential. He's whole, he's worthy, he's magic right now. You know what he does do? I'll tell you what he does do. He finds beauty in places that most of us, overlook. He will spend 10 minutes studying the way a balloon dances in the light. Okay, he'll spend 3 hours doing that. He runs through parks like every blade of grass is applauding him, but that's actually not accurate because his joy isn't dependent on applause. It's actually internal. He doesn't need to be cheered on to feel alive. His happiness doesn't come from being watched. It comes from being present. Even yesterday, we were at this Easter egg hunt. The kids were all sprinting across the lawn. They were yelling and scrambling and elbows flying, collecting as many plastic eggs as they could, like it was some kind of pastel Hunger Games. And then there was Alfie. He wandered gently behind the chaos. He even saw an egg behind a tree and he picked it up. He looked at it and then he put it right back. It's like he understood the game, but he chose not to play. He just stood there observing all the other kids and smiling. He wasn't disengaged. He was just different and peaceful. He didn't feel the need to compete, to grab, to win. He just wanted to watch. At one point, another little kid walked over and gave him a jelly bean from their egg. And Alfie looked at him, like really looked at him like he was taking them in fully. And then he just smiled and he said thank you with his eyes and he ate the jelly bean with so much joy. And then he just went back to watching. And there's something so beautiful about that. In this world that teaches kids to hoard, to rush, to be the best, he's just being, you know? I just thought that was a really beautiful moment. And oh my God, this boy hugs with his whole body. At Easter, another kid asked me, why is he hugging you like that? Because Alfie will wrap his entire whole body around you, his arms, his legs, his cheek pressed up to my cheek. Every inch of his skin wants to connect. It's not just a hug, it is an experience. And then he'll just stare into your eyes deeply, silently, like he's studying your soul. And I told this little girl, I said, because he loves it. That's how he feels love. And the kid said back to me, I like hugs a little, just not as much as that. As Alfie's just grabbing onto my entire body, staring intensely into my eyes. You know, Alfie, that's the thing about him. That's the difference. He feels everything so intensely. It's all consuming and pure and unfiltered. That's his language. He also notices the smallest sounds, the way the wind moves through the trees. He brings this level of presence that I could only dream of having. But then you want to reduce him to whether or not he can write a poem. You know, he lives his entire life like a poem. And yes, there are children and adults on the spectrum who need full-time care. Alfie may be one of those. We don't know yet. He's 6. You know, there are adults who are totally nonverbal, who engage in self-injurious behavior, and that's real, and I'm not denying any of that. I know those families are exhausted, they're grieving, they're in this desperate need of better support, and I stand with them, and I'm also one of them. But talking about our kids like they're broken beyond repair, like their existence is a tragedy, like they're doomed to never live meaningful lives because they'll never go on a date. That's not advocacy, that's ableism. And when you call autism a disease, like RFK Jr. did, you are fundamentally misunderstanding what autism is, because autism is not a disease. It's not something you catch, and it's not something you cure. It's a neurodevelopmental difference, a different wiring, a different operating system. There are genetic components, environmental factors may play a role, but autistic people have existed as long as humans have existed. This is not a new phenomenon. It's just one we've only recently begun to understand with any real nuance. And I do get the desperation. I do. When you're in the thick of it, when your child can't sleep, can't speak, is melting down for hours from sounds that you can't even hear, you want someone to blame. You want a fix, a cause, a cure. But the way forward isn't through fear and dehumanization. It's through support, services, and understanding. And here's the thing. When RFK says that autism is destroying families, maybe, just maybe, this is my thought, that the autistic person is not the problem. Maybe the society they're forced to live in is the loud, overstimulating, inflexible, capitalistic society that demands productivity over presence, conformity over curiosity, and compliance over compassion. Maybe these shutdowns and meltdowns are not symptoms of autism, but reactions to a world that's too fast, too loud, too harsh, and not built for them. So instead of trying to fix autistic people, maybe we need to fix this fucking workaholic, sensory violating, non-empathetic, hustle till you break system. Because if you're measuring a human value by who can punch in at 9 and pay taxes in April, you've already lost the fucking plot. And also, if paying taxes is the bar, half of Congress is on the spectrum by RFK's logic. It's like, this is my son and so many people's kids we're talking about. This is not a talking point, not a crisis stat, not a punchline. He's not a never, he's a yes, a living, breathing yes to love, to joy, to growth, to presence. He doesn't need to write a poem. He is the poem. So RFK Jr., if you want to be an advocate, I would start with dignity, start with respect, start with language that doesn't reduce an entire population to what you think they'll never do. If you want better funding for families, great, push for that. If you want more research, yes, let's talk about that, but don't do it by throwing our kids under the bus to make your point. Don't sacrifice their humanity for your headlines, because we don't need pity, we need change, and we need a world that doesn't just tolerate difference, but welcomes it. So no, autism is not a disease, and it sure as hell isn't a tragedy. The tragedy is how little people are willing to actually learn before they speak. And that's enough about that. But if you want to talk more in depth on this subject, go to patreon.com/Laura Clary so we can keep the conversation going and not get banned. I would love to see you there.